Hey guys. So at work, I was thinking of video topics, and did I ever tell you about the time that the dog followed me all the way to work? I was living in Texas, and I had to walk to work, and it's like a 45-minute walk, and there was like a storm or something the night before. So I'm walking to work. It's fucking dark out because it's like early in the morning, and as I'm walking, there's this pit bull that's running around, and before anyone says, "Oh my God, Pitbull," no, she was sweet. I think her name was Lily, if I remember. No, she was sweet. She was the sweetest thing. Came up to me, no, 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 no. Um, I hate when people say pit bulls are just naturally aggressive. They're not. Every pit bull I've ever come in contact with is not aggressive at all. My friend, when I was living in California, had a pit bull. She absolutely loved me. She came when I would come over. I was over there all the time. Her name was Heidi, but I called her Heidekin. So, but she absolutely loved me. She'd cuddle and this and that, and same thing. You know, kisses all over. Completely sweet. This dog who followed me, completely sweet. Me and my friend, when we were fostering dogs for a while, we had a pit bull terrier mix. Same thing, completely sweet. It's not the dogs, it's the assholes who own them. So, but I was walking, like I said, 45 minutes. This dog stayed by my side the entire time. She didn't leave. I couldn't call anyone. I didn't have a phone. So it's like, I didn't know if she was chipped. I didn't know if she had it on the name tag. But I knew that eventually someone would be able to help. But she walked all the way to work with me. Someone stopped. Like they were coming across the street. They pulled on the side to see what I needed. Because I'm like, yeah, the dog's been following me. It's like, does it belong to? I'm like, I don't know. I'm hoping once I get to work or something, I can, call the number if there is and see who it belongs to. Because if they had a tag, it should have a number on it they can put in there and say, oh yeah, that's so-and-so's dog. They live in. I mean, I knew they lived on my street, but that's all I knew. But I get to work and I go inside. I'm like, okay, well, what do I do now? So she was outside and she just kind of walked around, but I'm like, okay, she lives on the street. I don't want her fucking getting hit by a car over here. So, I mean, after bantering back and forth with the manager, she's like, well, can't have a dog. I'm like, well, I know where the dog lives, she lives on my street. I'm not going to just let her wander around here and fucking get hit by a car when I know she lives on my street. She's like, all right, we'll keep her in the office. So they kept her in the office. And then the assistant manager, I think, found on the tag, because like I said, it was dark, so I couldn't see jack shit. But apparently there was a number on the tag. They found out where she lived. And she's like, all right, I'm taking the dog home and blah, blah, blah. And she came back afterwards and she's like, you better be happy that you're a good person. Your dog peed in my car. I'm like, where did they live? Because the assistant manager had to drive me home once because it was pouring rain out. So she took me home once. And she's like, yeah, it was like a few houses down from you. I'm like, it really would have been stupid to let her wander around here getting hit by a car or something when she lived a few houses down. So, but then like a few days later or a week later, Lily gets out again. But this time we kind of knew who the people were and we had their number just pretty much in case. And we called. It's like, yeah, Lily's over here, so you guys can swing by anytime you get a chance to come and collect her. They're like, well, we won't be home for a little bit. I'm like, that's fine. She's just chilling with me. We didn't care. She was sweet, and so she just stayed up in my room with me, and then I think there was another time where we weren't able to keep her at our side, so the lady next door, her name's Miss Bethany, and she was like, oh yeah, just let me hold on to her, but yeah, the dog walked all the way with me to work, 45 minutes, and then once there, and I have to say, when I was talking to the manager, I wasn't nice about it. Let me just say that. That's why she's like, "You're lucky you're a good person." I got loud and I think I swore, you know. So, but they could clearly see that, you know, how upset I was about it, because it's like, I'm not gonna let her fucking walk around outside getting hit when I know freaking damn well where she lives. I'm pretty sure I said something along those lines, possibly those words in that exact order. But all I know is I got loud and I swore. And they're like, okay, bring her in. We'll put her in the office. But then that's when the assistant manager actually was like, "You're lucky you're a good person. You know, she peed in my car." And I mean, I would hope you guys would do the same thing. You know, dog follows you 45 minutes. Obviously, they're not going to be able to get home, you know. And because it was in the morning and no one was out and they weren't home, she would have just wandered around, possibly getting hit. So at least with me, she was safe. You know, she walked with me by my side the entire time. And so she was safer with me than anywhere else, because anywhere else she would have been hit. You know, she would have been hit by a fucking car. And then I would have felt like shit, because it's like, fuck, I could have done something about that. You know, an innocent life had to fucking be snuffed out because, you know, no one wanted to fucking stop or whatever, or slow down, or she got into traffic or some bullshit, because the store was right there at an intersection. She could have easily just fucking run out into the middle of the road and fucking... So I'm like, I'm not gonna let her sit out there and fucking get hit by a car. So it's like, figure something out. I'm like, I didn't ask her to fucking follow me here, you know, but she followed me here. She's here now, and I'm not letting her stay out there and get hit. She lives on my street. Just find out where she lives. We take her home. So, like I said, after negotiations, which really wasn't a negotiation, we got to keep her in there. But then, like I said, she came back and she's like, yeah, the door with the gate was open, and it's like, I'm like, it's closed. She's like, it's closed now, but it didn't look like it was gonna stay closed. I'm like, well, you know, at least if she gets out again, people will be there this time. You know, it's like she was there, you know, in the morning. No one was there because everyone had gone to work. So she's like, you're lucky you're a good person because your dog peed in my car. I'm like, but yeah. I mean, that's not the first time a freaking animal has followed me. I mean, there are times where I've been around here just walking down to Dollar General and a fucking cat will just follow me or something. The dogs across the street, Blue and Eli, luckily, they fucking listen to me. Eli is the one who crosses the street, or at least tries to. Blue is just, she's just happy to see me get rubs. But Eli will be like, oh, it's him. I'm like, Eli? And he's like, and he starts to slowly try to get into the street. I'm like, Eli, go. And he's like, and he like slowly backs up. I'm like, go. And he just backs up onto the lawn. And like the owner, the guy, I think his name's Parrish or something, he's out there, and I mean, he's kind of laughing because, you know, I mean, you've got another dude who's able to get your dog to, I mean, like I said, we fostered, and I've had dogs for ages. All it takes is just a stern voice. Just go. And they'll realize, oh, hey, he's not fucking around. Like, and then you point, just go. You know, you got to let them know. I mean, sometimes he'll make it across the street because I won't notice. I'm like, Eli. Most of the time, that's as far as I need to get. I look at him, Eli, and he just runs across the street again, like back to his house. There was times where I'd go to Dollar General and there's a house down that way. There was like this black cat that was sitting out there, and every time I passed by, he'd come running down the steps, just coming up to me. He turns around, he's like, rub my butt. And then when he had enough butt rubs, he just ran off back up the steps. I'm an animal lover, and obviously animals love me. So Now, have I told you crackers about the time I saw the Loch Ness Monster? No. God, I love South. That episode of that South Park episode is fucking hilarious. Silly old monster. He bent down and said, "I need about $3.50. What's $3.50? $3.50." Such a great episode. I mean, there's a few episodes of South Park that really stick out. And I've said this before, the World of Warcraft video of the episode with Make Love Not Warcraft. I mean, that episode was funny enough before I started playing WoW, but then I started playing WoW and it became so much more funny because I knew what they were talking about. When they said Arathi Highlands had like fucking 5,000 people, I'm like, bullshit. I remember questing there back in the day. There was no 5,000 people in Arathi Highlands. No, that place is the worst for leveling. There's only a few quests. It doesn't give you that much experience. So most of the time, you're having to grind. You're having to go around killing raptors, killing spiders, this and that. No one likes Arathi Highlands. Arathi Highlands is by far the worst place, at least in vanilla and BC. I think maybe Wrath too. It sucked. I mean, nowadays they revamped it to, but back in the day, there was no 5,000 fucking people in Arathi Highlands. Fucking get that shit out of here. Or the Sword of 1,000 Truths, which is actually the Lifeless, Slayer of the Lifeless. That's the actual name. They named it after the episode. It's how do you slay that which has no life? So they had the weapon. I don't think they had a name for it at the time, but it's called Slayer of the Lifeless. It's a really cool looking sword. Naxxramas, I believe. Hang on. I'm me nerding out over here. Let me check. Yeah, so this was in the episode. This was the Sword of 1,000 Truths, but it's called Slayer of the Lifeless. It's a really cool looking runic sword. Have some enchants on there. It's really cool. One of the most sought after ones because it's the closest one that kind of looks like Frostborn. Foretold by Salzman. Salzman was in the episode as well in one of the departments, and he had a little flash drive, USB flash drive that had the sword on it. And it drops from Gothic the Harvester and Gluth. I think when I got mine, it was Gothic the Harvester. But yeah, it's a really cool sword, even now. So if you're a World of Warcraft fan, little fun fact there for you. How do you slay that which has no life? Or I think this line was, how do you kill that which has no life? But slay sounds a lot better in the context of, a game where kids play it. But then again, they kill this many of this, so I think Slayer just sounds better in the Killer of the Lifeless. It doesn't sound, it sounds stupid. So Slayer of the Lifeless is a lot better. There was that one, and then Turning Tide. Turning Tide was another really cool one. The Turning Tide. This sword was really good back in the day for like warlocks and yeah. The Turning Tide. Really, really cool sword, even now. Like I said, I really love the whole runic blade look. So if you have, like a death thing going for your character, it doesn't even have to be a fucking Death Knight. You can use a Death Mog for paladins. You can do it for warlocks. I mean, it's a one-handed weapon, so you can use it for your other classes, like warlocks and pretty much anyone who can have a one-handed sword. But because it dropped from Kel'Thuzad, it was pretty hard, especially if you're in a group of 40 fucking people. The odds of it dropping were low enough, but then the odds of you actually getting it, fuck. Players can win this item when selecting the following class specialization: Mage, Paladin, Warlock, Monk. Yeah. I mean, it was pretty much a Death Knight type thing, but nowadays I see plenty of these running around. I see some fucking uncorrupted or some corrupted Ashbringers in the world sometimes. Those things, you can't get those anymore. So like I said, sorry, I'm nerding out here. Just one thing to another. We talked about the Loch Ness Monster episode of South Park, then the World of Warcraft episode, and then the fun facts with the, Slayer of the Lifeless and Turning Tide. But yeah. Moral of the story was I was not very quiet about my my sentiments about that dog. I was loud. But anyways, that's going to do it for me. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.